Welcome to the Create Your Empowered Self podcast. This how-to podcast is focused on empowering you to live your best life by incorporating the principles of the law of attraction, NLP, meditation, and other spiritual teachings. I'm Jeannie Hall, a certified NLP practitioner and creative empowerment coach. Let's get you empowered. Hello and welcome to the Create Your Empowered Self podcast. This is episode 7, Seek and Ye Shall Find. So you've probably heard of this saying, seek and ye shall find. It's a direct Bible quote, but it's also a very powerful spiritual thing in that it also means that what you look for expands. The more you look for certain things in your life and the more you focus your attention on certain things, the more likely they are to grow and expand in your own life. And when we're kids, we seek a lot of things. We seek friendship and time to play and our parents' attention. We seek out new information about subjects that fascinated us. A lot of us love school when we're little because we can't wait to soak up all this new information we've never been exposed to before. We play hide and seek, and usually we would find whatever it was we would seek. Most of us learned how to seek what we wanted very effectively. It wasn't even that hard. We learned how to be nice and to win friends. We learned how to play games and get our parents to pay attention to us, even if that attention was negative. And the same is true of us as adults. Whatever it is that we seek, we tend to find. But we sometimes forget this truth and how it can work, especially as we go through our day-to-day lives and we get caught up in the motions of just automatically doing things. We're not really aware. We're on automatic pilot a lot of the time. We just go from one thing to another, get up, get ready to go to work, come home, wash and repeat. That's basically what we do. And the problem with this is that sometimes we're not really focusing on what we're paying attention to. Maybe all the way to work we are griping about traffic and griping about this jerk who cut us off and griping about, oh, look at this idiot over here doing this thing, right? We don't keep our focus on happy, positive things. And then when we get to work, a lot of us will automatically focus on whatever ticks us off or annoys us or stresses us out. And of course, what does that bring us? More of the same, because whatever you focus on expands, right? And then some of us do this at home too. Some of us come home and we see what our significant others did or didn't do. And maybe they did it, but they did it wrong. Or maybe they didn't do it and you're mad because oh, look at that pile of dishes in the sink. Or look at that load of laundry laying in the floor. And look at this, look at that. The house is a mess and I've got to work and they didn't work today and they should have done this. And then my kids are taking advantage of me. Their rooms are a mess. I'm sick and tired. Whatever it is. They didn't take the trash out. Whatever it is. And the more we focus on that, the more we talk about it, the more we think about it, the more we complain about it, the worse it's going to get. The last thing it's going to do is get any better. Because, again, what we seek, we find. What we focus on expands. So if what you're wanting is a change in whatever part of your life you're needing a change in, the trick of it is to not complain and to not focus on something that annoys you or stresses you out. Because the whole seek and ye shall find thing is a great way of describing the universal laws of the universe. Laws like the law of attraction and the law of cause and effect explain that what we focus on expands, and it shows us over and over and over again that it'll get larger the more we focus on it. So if you're seeking joy and you're seeking happiness in everything you do, then what you'll do is find more of that in your life. And your job is to look for it. If you come home, for example, and your child has, let's say they did the dishes for you, but they didn't put them up correctly. Maybe they cleaned out the dishwasher, let's say, and they put the cups in the wrong place and the plates in the wrong place and the bowls in the wrong place. And why is this over here? Oh my God, right? If that's what you focus on, do you think that that's likely to encourage your children to do the dishes again? No, right? You have to overlook the small stuff, because what you want is more help with housework, not less. What you want is them to become responsible, not irresponsible. What you want is to show them your gratitude, not your annoyance. Because whatever it is you're setting out there and focusing on, that's what you're going to get more of. So if you see that they did a chore that you wanted them to do, but they didn't do it to your exacting standards, and you focus on, oh, they didn't do it right, then you're focusing in the wrong area. You need to focus on the fact that they did it at all. That is a gift, and you need to be grateful for it. Why? Because it's more likely to happen more. You'll have more things to be grateful for the more you focus on that. So maybe your next question is, well, then why do bad things happen in our lives and to other people? Why do wars and drugs and corruption and death happen? Why does tragedy and sorrow happen? Why are there accidents and cruelty in this world? And everybody has the right to believe whatever they want to believe. But my own belief is that there are no accidents at all in this life. Everything is there to show us something. So to me, everything is there to serve some sort of purpose. And I believe the universe or God or source or whatever name you give to divinity, that higher power, is always loving us and always working for us, never against us. So by believing that, this is what I believe shows us some of the paths that we can get to happiness by. So what might look like a bad thing initially might not actually end up being a bad thing in hindsight. So for example, maybe we lose a job, but we lose it because a much better job or opportunity is going to show up as soon as we do. Maybe someone breaks our heart, which of course feels horribly at the time. But then we find the true love of our lives, our soulmate, the one we really wanted all along. Maybe we receive some sort of medical diagnosis, and that's usually, we always look at that as a bad thing. But what if that diagnosis alerts us to a change we need to make in our lifestyles to better support good health? And we make those changes, and our health improves, and we feel so much better, right? So those are examples of some pretty negative things that can turn out to be very positive in the end. And you won't see it until you get a little further along the path. I also believe that some of these things show up to give us what we call contrast, which is the opposite side of the coin. So contrast is there because we all have preferences. We all have things that we like and don't like. And that contrast is showing us what we don't like so we can understand what it is we do. And more importantly, what we do want out of our lives. So we realize as we grow up and as we go out into this world that we don't want pain, that we don't want illness, that we don't want injury, that we don't want war, that we don't want drugs, and that we don't want others to suffer, along with a whole bunch of other things that we do not want. And we usually learn that we do want peace, we do want joy, we do want satisfaction, we do want fulfillment, we do want love, we do want prosperity, we do want success, and we do want understanding. I would say most of us would agree with those lists, right? And the reason that we see these things as we go along in our lives is the law of polarity. It shows us the two sides of the same coin, what we do want and what we don't. But an important thing to remember is that the more we focus on a thing, anything creates more of that thing. So if you have an illness, let's say a diagnosis, and all you can focus is on that diagnosis, is on, oh God, I have this thing, I'm sick, I have this thing, and it's chronic, and I'm never going to get over it, and I'm always going to be in pain, and I'm always going to wake up sore, and I'm always going to have to take medication, and I'm always going to have this problem or that problem, I'm going to have weight gain or this problem or that problem. I'm not going to be able to do the things that I wanted to. And and you just say these kind of things over, and you're thinking this kind of thing over and over and over to yourself all the time, do you think that's going to make you feel better? Of course not. Because what you focus on expands. So if you're given a diagnosis and all you can focus on is, oh God, oh God, oh God, this and this and this and this and this, I might die young, oh my God, right? Then you're going to exacerbate the problem. If, though, you take that diagnosis and you take responsibility for understanding it, whatever it is, maybe it's something that, like if you're like me and you're a type 2 diabetic, did you contribute to that? Yes, I know I did. Not blaming you, not blaming myself, because I was making choices that I didn't fully realize. I wasn't conscious of what I was doing. I didn't intend to get diabetes, right? Nobody does. But there's a lot of disease out there that we cause to ourselves because we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not eating properly or exercising, or we're not being careful and doing what our bodies need us to do. And don't go into a shame spiral. That's not going to help anything. But just realize, yeah, I did eat this way, and yeah, I did cause this weight gain, and yeah, I did cause this to happen to me. But from a more neutral perspective, just to look at, well, I guess I didn't realize how much I was eating, or I guess I didn't realize how much sugar and flour and carbohydrates I was eating in comparison to the others, or maybe my portion sizes were way too high and I just didn't realize it. Or anytime I got upset or whatever, I celebrated with food, and I was upset with food, and I always went to food for everything, and now that's what ended up happening is I gained this weight and then I got this. Just understanding it, just detach a little bit emotionally, don't beat yourself up, but just realize the facts of it. It's like, yeah, I totally did that. I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't mean to do it. No, but I did. So as soon as you take responsibility, you then have a degree of control. And what that does is that empowers you to then change your circumstances, because that is up to you. What you do from that point on is your decision. And it feels a lot better to take responsibility and feel empowered and in control of your life than it does to blame all these outside things. Well, you know, my whole family's overweight, so I guess it's just genetics. I was just meant to be a diabetic. Well, if you're 50 pounds overweight, right, you have to take responsibility for that part. Sure, it might run in your family, but that didn't mean you had to get it, right? And then again, it's not about blame. It's not about self-loathing. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about just realizing it and understanding, oh yeah, I did. I didn't realize I was doing this, but I really did eat a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't eat a lot of. And that's what happened. And okay, because now you can fix it, right? Now you can make this problem either go away or you can make it a lot better, right? Because that part is up to you. And sometimes it's not up to us. Sometimes there's things we can't control about it, but what we can control is changing our mindset into a positive mindset. Even a really severe diagnosis, we can just decide, well, I'm going to beat it. And then you will focus on the positive. And if you have a bad day, you do, and you understand that, and you keep going. And you keep focusing on, I am stronger than this disease or this injury or whatever it is, and I can beat it. Because I'm a divine being and a spiritual, who's spiritual in nature. And yes, I'm in this human body, and this human body may have a problem right now, but I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make it better. Because when you come at it from that perspective, it feels so much better, and you feel so much stronger and more capable of dealing with it than if you're just focusing on, oh, this hurts, and oh, that hurts, and oh, I can't believe I did this to myself, or oh, I can't believe I came down with this, or I don't know why this happened to me, right? That doesn't feel good. That's very disempowering, actually, and it makes you feel weak and vulnerable and horrible. Whereas if you take a little bit of control, a little bit of responsibility for how you're thinking about it, you can totally come out the other side. So one of the things that I've done overall in my life to change my mindset into a much more positive one is I no longer watch the news at all. And maybe you're sitting out there and you're thinking, Jeannie, how are you going to know when something urgent is going on that you need to know about? And it's a good question. And this is my answer. I trust the universe to tell me what I need to know. Because I know that that higher being, whether you call it God or the universe or source or whatever, I know that it is always working for me rather than against me. And that if there is something I need to know, we're talking about an all-powerful being, right? An all-powerful entity. Of course, this powerful entity can let me know something if I need to know it, right? So anytime that I've needed to find out about something that would directly affect me that I needed to know, I always found out about it without watching the news. So if it might be something like, day-to-day stuff, avoiding a bad traffic accident. Oh, there's an app on my phone with traffic on it. Guess what? I found out. Or my husband called me, hey, babe, look out. There's a bad accident. It's completely blocking the interstate. Go the other way, right? Or maybe there was a pretty dangerous weather pattern, which doesn't happen very often where I live, but I found out about it without ever watching the news, right? So I don't watch news. I don't subscribe to news apps. I don't do any of that because I always find out anything that's really pertinent and important for me to know. I always find out about it anyway. So what that has done, it has just reinforced my trust of the universe because I know that if it is important, I will find out. There are a myriad of different ways to find something out rather than forcing myself to sit through 30 minutes or an hour or hours of negative news reports about all the horrible things that are happening in the world right now that have nothing to do with me. And I don't mean that in a callous way. I don't mean that I don't care about those things because I do. What I mean is that I know what I focus on expands. So if I focus on that war and that conflict and that decision that this leader made or my leader made or somebody said this and they're fighting about this and oh my God, the country's falling apart. If I focus on that, I am making it bigger. And I refuse to do that. And not to mention, on a personal level, that makes me really feel shitty crappy to focus on that stuff. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. I don't need to know that. It doesn't help me to know these big, bad, terrible things. what does help me is to focus on what I can look at, which is the more positive and beautiful and peaceful things in this world. Because there's actually, what I've learned is that this world is made up of two sides of the same coin. So of course there's at least as much good. I personally think there's a lot more good and beautiful and joyful and peaceful things happening in the world than we're mostly aware of, because what gets reported on the news is all the bad, scary stuff. Now, sure, there's news reports about the Olympics and about sports things and about this thing and that thing that aren't always positive. But so much, like 90% of the news is who got shot and who got robbed and this bad thing and this building got blown up because this country and these people and this religion did this against this religion, and it's all crap, basically. It's all very negative, very scary stuff. And I don't like to feel scared, and I don't like to feel shitty crappy, so I don't watch it. I refuse. It just makes me upset, and that just makes more of it. So I decided several years ago that I didn't want to be part of the problem. I wanted to be part of the solution. So ever since then, I have focused exclusively, as much as I'm human, I mess up sometimes, but I try at least to focus, I work to focus on the best parts of life, on the beautiful, joyful, compassionate parts of life. Because for everybody who lost a leg in a war, there was a whole medical team that helped them, or a buddy that carried them out, and people at home that will help them get back to a better state of being after that, to help them heal. And sometimes that's covered in the news, but not very often. We get the horrible parts, and more and more and more of the horrible parts, without getting the positive, the loving side of that, the healing side of that, what they then became, that they helped other vets who had their limbs blown off or whatever, that they decided to make that their life ambition is to help other people like them. And there's so many people who do exactly that, but we don't hear about those hero stories as much. We just hear that these bad things happened. So what I choose to focus on is the positive, happy, beautiful parts of humanity. And that's so much bigger than the crap, right? That's so much more important. So I just focus on things that I love. I focus on the beauty in nature. I focus on what I personally find uplifting, and I help when I can. I walk or jog in nature a lot. I look up at the incredible sky and the magnitude and hugeness of it, and feel small and feel like it's protected and that it's beautiful and wondrous, because it is. How many people go about their daily lives all stressed out about whatever's going on in their heads, and they never look up and see that beautiful vast sky with the sun and puffy white clouds, and just how magnificent it is, right? It's just one of those things, a massive thing to be grateful for, that we have a planet that's so conducive to living for human life, so nourishing to us. There's a sun that's in exactly the right place, and we're in exactly the right orbit. We have exactly the right amount of gravity. We have just enough temperate changes that we can live here safely. Even though there's certain parts that are colder and certain parts that are very hot, it's still not too hot for us to live. We've got a whole planet just pretty much that we can live on. We can go anywhere on this planet, just about, almost, and live there very safely and securely. We can choose whatever life we really want to live if we just make the decision. And we have to be grateful for that. When we're grateful for that, it just brings so much more joy, and we realize how big this world is. And we realize what we're really capable of, that we don't have those limits that we might have thought we did. And once you realize that for yourself, the whole world changes for you. Your whole life can change because you don't believe those limits anymore. And you say, I didn't do this because I was scared, and I didn't do this because I thought I couldn't, but of course I can. There's a million different ways that this can work out for me. Because when you change your mindset like that, everything falls into place. And it really is a miracle. So I visit things that remind me of that miracle. I visit the ocean and rivers and lakes, and I stare out at the natural just rhythms of the water, and it's so peaceful and beautiful. And I'll walk into more civilized places, I guess you could say, like stores, and I'll study pretty things that I like, and I'll admire beautiful pieces of technology like cars and computers and our own cell phones that I'm using right now, and be amazed by them. Be amazed that this has been created in our lifetimes for our use. And I'm amazed at the kindness I see in others because I actively look for it, and then I find it all the time. And I focus on loving my loved ones and being there for them and being as compassionate a person as I can possibly be. And is there room for improvement? Oh, I'm sure, always. But I do my best to focus on that. And I focus on the peace that I can always locate deep within myself, because then I know that reverberates out into the world and makes it a more peaceful world. Because what we focus on expands. What we seek, we find. And that's why I practice active awareness and gratitude throughout my day. I'm thankful for my soft bed and for fresh drinking water and for my ability to take a hot bath whenever I want. I'm grateful for my health and for my body and for my job and for every single penny I have sitting in my bank account. And I'm grateful to have the best husband in the world who is so compatible with me and is my soulmate. That is such a huge gift. And I focus on love and openness and on gratitude and on receiving because I want more of that, right? I want to receive more gratitude. I want to see more I want to receive more things to be grateful for, and I want to receive more love, and I want to see more of it out there. I want to see more openness in others and other people being grateful, and all of us receiving, because when we all receive, that means all of us get to be happier and more joyful and more healthy and more all the good stuff, right? And when something enters my periphery that I don't like or don't enjoy, I either avoid it or do my best to tune it out. And if we could all learn to do this, all those bad things would pretty much have to disappear, because that's the law. So for anyone who wants more love and greater peace and prosperity for themselves, I say this: focus on the things in your life that you like and that you enjoy and that you love. Talk about them. Think about them. Be grateful for them. Let those good feelings fill you up to capacity, and then more of those things will come to you. So as always, in this new Create Your Empowered Self podcast, I try and give you some sort of process. So what I'd like you to try today is this tiny experiment. And maybe you've already done it, and if so, that's great. Try it on something new. But if you've never tried this, just hang with me a second. Choose something, whether it's an object or something that you can do, that you'd like to see more of. And in The Secret movie, there was a guy who he wanted to see a feather with very specific markings that he pictured very clearly in his mind. And I recently tested this out myself by choosing to see bluebirds. So I asked the universe to show me bluebirds. And I don't mean just any bird that's blue, like blue jay or any other kind of bird that has blue on it. I meant the very specific, brightly colored, it's blue over most of its body, and then it has a rust-colored chest, and it's known as a Virginia bluebird, specifically. And so when I first asked to see it, in the first couple of days, I just saw pictures of it. I'd look down, which is weird because these were things in my home that I didn't even realize were there. So I looked down at an old quilt that we had pulled down out of our closet on a cold day, And I knew it was a summer quilt, so it had like vegetable gardening type stuff on it and flowers on it. And I hadn't used it in a long time. And then I glanced down, and there, covering my knee, was a sewn pattern of a bluebird. Yep, there it was. And then a day or two later, as I'm working at my store that I work in, there was a shopper who was checking out with me, and I was ringing her up, and she was buying a set of towels with, yep, bluebirds on them. And then today, as we were going to the movies, I saw the real thing in a neighbor's yard, an actual bluebird. And please understand, this might sound small and petty, but I see a lot of different birds here in Virginia where I live. I see everything from robins to crows to doves to cardinals to seagulls, but I very rarely see the specific bird, the bluebird. And then it was so interesting because to see that today live, I got so excited. And I actually said something to my husband, "Oh, look, a bluebird." I was so excited. And then after we go to the movies today, we went to visit someone we hadn't seen in several months. And right there on the hallway wall, yep, a painting of a bluebird again. So what that did was just reinforce to me that, yes, I'm being listened to. Yes, God can receive what I ask for, even small things. Because whenever you do that for yourself, whenever you ask to see a small thing and then you start to see it here and there and here and there, and oh, there's more. Oh, look, there's another one. Oh, look. It reinforces your faith in this higher being, in this overall vast, whatever we would need to call it, listening to us and hearing what we're asking for and showing it to us. And that's very powerful. So I ask you to take this challenge. Ask the universe to show you something specific so that you know it's not just some random occurrence. So pick something out and then look for it. Give yourself a month or two and see how many times it shows up. Be aware of it. You might even write it down. I saw this thing right here on Monday on April whatever, you might, or May, I guess it's almost May. You know, whatever it is that you're doing that you chose, make a note of it, at least in your mind. Yeah, I saw it that time, and then I saw it this time. And especially it's good to pick something that maybe is not super common to see all the time. So then when it does show up, you'll realize, oh, that's what that is. Oh, cool. Look, there it is, right? Because this will just help to, if you're someone who struggles with your faith and struggles with trust a little bit, and you want to believe that the universe is working for you, but you have trouble believing that, or you want to believe you can have a better life and better finances and more love in your life and a happier business or job or whatever, career path, whatever it is that you're looking for, more friendship, whatever it is. If you want to believe it, but you have a lot of beliefs that have kind of blocked you and are limiting you, this is a great exercise to start to build that faith and trust, because when you start to see these things, it'll reinforce that, yes, the universe is on my side. God is on my side. The universe, God, they're showing this to me. He's showing this to me. She's showing this to me, whatever you want to call it, right? And it'll just help grow your faith. And it'll help you to receive, to learn to be open and allowing, and let those good things that you want to receive, actually let them into your reality. And it's such a fun thing too, which is a great thing, because we take life so seriously and we really do make life harder than it has to be sometimes. And you can have fun with this and get excited every time you see something. And it's such a beautiful gift, and be grateful for it as well, of course. So go out there now and look for the good, and look for the beautiful, and look for your specific thing. Look for the proof that it's there. Seek, and ye shall find. Thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. And as always, I hope you have an empowered day, week, month, and year. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening to the Create Your Empowered Self podcast. If you've enjoyed this content or found it helpful, please let me know by leaving a review. I upload podcasts every Wednesday and Saturday, so subscribe to receive these regular updates. Now, go out there and live a more empowered life.